What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Combat Library. And today we're going to talk about a fight that's, nobody knows if it will happen or will not happen. People are talking about it for weeks. Uh, and okay, big question is it happening or not? And the truth is, even though we have hints, some people talk about some things. A fighter say this, another fighter say that. We are not sure because it's a big money fight. It's probably the biggest fight that we could do. Of course, I'm talking about actual boxing involving two experienced champions, right? Since like the Mayweather era, you know. Uh, but happening or not, I think it's honestly a ridiculous idea. And why I'm saying this? Because it's a huge jump in weight. It's huge. Like just a couple months ago, we saw what happened to Charlo trying to go two divisions at once, and he got destroyed. No, he got destroyed. That's the truth, right? Uh, Man, most cases of people trying to jump two weight classes, they are destroyed, right? We have a couple exceptions, of course, but that's what usually happens. Now, three is madness. And like the weight difference is so big, it's almost 20 pounds. Uh, like, and let's start from there, right? They have supposedly the same height. They are both 5'8". But here's the thing: Crawford is like, okay, this kind of lean, athletic. He's not that big. He could pass as a skinny guy. Depending on the clothes, he could pass as a skinny guy. Nobody took a look at him and said, nah, this guy's has some good muscle in him. You know, put a shirt, you put like dark clothes, he don't look athletic. But Canelo, Canelo is big. Like you look at his body, you look at his like torso, bro. He's built like a fridge. And honestly, like I know Crawford is powerful, and pound for pound, in my opinion, he has more skills than Canelo. Right? He's more disciplined in his fighting. But bro, honestly, Canelo will land one and will fucking kill Crawford. I mean, like, Crawford's fighting 147, right? Canelo is fighting 168. They are both undisputed champions of their respective uh, divisions, right? Now let's put that in perspective. That's like putting Ilya Topuria, talking about UFC, right? That's similar to putting Ilya Topuria and Leon Edwards to fight. That yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous because it's a huge weight discrepancy, especially in those weight classes. 20 pounds is a huge difference. We're not talking about like, oh, let's put a 185 fighter. Of course, I'm talking. We're using an example of MMA because we don't have 20 pounds jumps in boxing, like exact. We're not talking about 185 to 205. We're not talking about this. Or like some other organizations have like 220-pound divisions. Like kickboxing, we have some organizations that have 220-pound division. It's not like 200 to 220. No, we're talking about 145, 147 in the case to 168. That's almost 20 pounds. And like just to put into perspective, right? Crawford started. He got his first world title at 135, and it took him 5 years to go from 135 to 145. That's 12 pounds, right? That's 12 pounds. The jump that he would do now would be like a year, maybe a little bit less, maybe 1 year and a half, but not much more than that. He would have 1/5 of the time that he had to book for more pounds than all weight classes he went through, right? Uh, of course, you may say, okay, but Canelo also started from like lower weight classes. Yeah, but it's a weight discrepancy that's big because Canelo did it slowly, right? He built himself. If I'm not wrong, he started at welterweight. Uh, and like already started at welterweight, he started in a weight that's heavier than Crawford. Not wrong. Maybe it's the same. But then he went like, okay, light middleweight. That's 154. He got a world title there. Then he went middleweight. Then he went super middleweight. So we're talking about a guy that like his lowest division is heavier than the heaviest division of the other. It's not because they have the same height or because Crawford is really powerful pound for pound or really skilled that this makes sense. I love like I both of those guys are already top 50 of time in my opinion. Crawford can perhaps argue that he's like top 60, but you know what I'm saying. He's not like in this conversation. No, he's one of the greats. Even you know, but I think that's ridiculous. I think this will be, of course, there's always this like slight chance that it might happen that will jump him like 10 positions as the GOAT conversation. Like, bro, this is not smart. We need to think smart because let's be honest right here. Crawford will probably have longevity. He'll probably fight to his like 40s, but I really doubt that we'll in any time soon see like a Bernard Hopkins type of longevity, like a guy fighting to almost 50 in world title fights. So like what we need to think, right? So I start thinking, okay, in this condition, that's ridiculous. But what are the that are better for both of them to expand their legacy? And then I first start thinking about Crawford because Crawford is honestly, like, let's think about this. He fight once a week, and he's 36, right? I believe that he will probably fight into his early 40s in like this high level. So we talk about five, six, if he is lucky, seven fights. That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. Five, six, or maybe seven more fights. So he needs to be smart. He can do this. If he fights Canelo, he'll be knocked out cold. This will take years of his career. Years. you know, and I think that's nonsense. So I thought about three names that Canelo and Crawford could fight each, right? So for Crawford, I believe that the third is if he decides to keep focusing on his weight class, and then he will defend his titles against the former super lightweight champ and the current interim champ Mario Barrios. Barrios is a big name, of course, not a huge name, but he's a big name. He has legacy. Defeating Barrios will add to his legacy. The second fight, of course, this is like order of what's worse in the top three to the best decision. The second uh, is a defend against Devin Haney. Of course, it seems like Haney is not interested to just jump. And interesting, of course, getting the undisputed titles, so beating everybody in that division. But Crawford is a big name. Haney might accept it, uh, to go up, right? So he will be beating someone that's in a pound for pound list. He will be beating someone that's a two division champion and disputed one of those. Uh, he could possibly try the same with Teal, right? Of course, Teal is not in the pound for pound list anymore, but he was just like a couple weeks ago, and he's the ring champion. So that's a big deal. That's a good idea. Big names, big fights, a lot of money and legacy. But I believe that the most important, most intelligent move to make right now is to actually go up, right? Crawford had many fights at 147. He became champion, he finished his title, WBO title for a lot of times. Now he's an undisputed champion. I believe that the most intelligent thing that will like make him closer to the like GOAT conversation, who make his legacy bigger and bigger. Since of course, like we said, he have less than 10 fights in him, I believe. Of course, fighting that frequency. I think it's more intelligent to fight Charlo. Charlo is a big name. There will be a lot of money in it. He's a former undisputed champion that just lost one of his titles, and not from a loss, but for a lack of activity in the division. Uh, if he beats him, we're talking about a four division champion that beat a big name. We're talking about that by itself would already jump Crawford to like that kind of top 50 realm to perhaps a top 40, top 30. We're talking about a big jump, right? And most importantly, he will be one fight away from becoming undisputed in three divisions. If he manages to become undisputed in three divisions, beating Team Tsuyo, uh, that will honestly put him in the top 20 of time, in my opinion. In my honest opinion, that could possibly put him in top 10, sorry, top 20, top 25 all time. Um, Now for Canelo, right? Uh, I it's kind of a similar idea, but the order is different. The third option is fighting, having a second fight with Bivol or fighting Beterbiev. So that he would be looking for that fourth division belt and second undisputed. Uh, Honestly, that would probably like be a biggest risk. So big risk, big reward stuff. Because if he manages to pull it off, he would be in the top 15 of time. Not exactly top 15, but like around it. We're talking about like maybe top 16, top 17, right? But here's the deal. I think Bivol would school him again, and Beterbiev would crack his chin because Beterbiev is really powerful. He has an amazing chin. We're not talking about like 168 powerful. We're talking about 175 powerful. And like honestly, let's be honest right here. Canelo is powerful, but he didn't translate exactly his power from 154 and 160 to 168. Now, transporting that for 175, he's not that big power puncher. Uh, and I believe that, in my opinion, was the biggest problem with Canelo, right? He booked well, right? He did a good booking. You compare his photos, he did a good booking. But what's the big question? The big situation right here is that he did his booking, but he lost speed. If he's managed to keep his speed and add more, sorry, if he manages to keep his power or even increase it a little bit and get his speed back, or even sacrifice a little bit of his power for more speed, I think he might be able to pull it off. But honestly, I don't see that happening because I don't see a lot of improvement from him, right? Uh, the second one that I think is a good idea is Jermel Charlo. So we have like this kind of revenge stuff from his brother. You know, of course, Charlo is another champion who won 60-pound champion. Um, we have all this talk about revenge his brother. A lot of eyes will be on it. But honestly, I think that's probably like the type of stuff that Canelo will do, right? Because it's safer. Because I think that he would beat Jermo similar to how he did to his brother. We're talking about a lot of money. We're talking about legacy. You beat another champion. Um, but what's the number one? The number one, you may say, okay, that's nonsense. That's whatever. But I think that's will happen into a certain point because he will probably be forced to it, which is the David Benavidez fight. you know, you may argue, okay, will not make as much money as fighting on the champion, but like, if you wanted to be respected as a champion, because he is respected as a fighter, as a boxer, but not so much as a champion, because there's guy knocking on the door. He defeated many champions. He's honestly possibly he had a better year than Canelo right last year. The guy is beating former champions. He's beating everybody. He's destroying everybody. He's the dark horse of the division, and everybody's saying, no, he should fight Canelo. He deserves that shot. And honestly, he deserves that shot. He deserves that bitch a lot. And I think it's because of honor and because, you know, if the WBC decides to stop being like a bitch for money, this should be like forced. This fight should be forced to happen. Perhaps Canelo would still duck him and accept, okay, I don't need the WBC belt. Like I have this WBO, WBA, and IBF or whatever. But honestly, that's what he should do, right? Um, and that's it for today, guys. That's my take on the situation. There's a couple of possibilities that each one of those fighters have. That's it for today. May God bless you all. Bye bye.